Are you hurting someone or are you healing yourself? Let's talk about the point where self-love and selfishness separates. Now, to be completely honest with you, I'm still fairly new to this self-love journey, but there's been some things that I've learned along the process and some things I had to experience in a hurtful way for me to understand that this is a part of self-love. And I would feel guilty for feeling like, I was being selfish. After all, like, you looking out for yourself and checking in with yourself is a part of what selfishness means. But I had to realize that that's just it. Just because they have something in common doesn't necessarily mean the intentions are the same. So let's talk about the point where they separate or how they separate. Selfishness is hurting, whereas self-love is healing. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. No pun intended. To me, and I feel like to most people, selfishness is checking in with yourself and not having the intentions of taking care of other people. Whereas with self-love, you're checking in with yourself, but you have the intentions of making sure others are good, but you want to make sure that you're good first, because after all, you can't help anybody until you help yourself, and that's the idea of self-love. But with selfishness, it's selfish because, not only are you checking in with yourself, but in some sense, you're expecting for others to do the same for you, all while you don't give up about them. Or to be fair, this selfish person may not care enough about the other party. Self-love allows you to understand the importance of building yourself before you're able to help others, because if you don't have enough to give to yourself, you can't help others and expect for them to do the same thing back for you, because it's not their job to do. That's your job to do. And that's the point of self-love, is to make sure that you are nourishing yourself, and it's not to not put into anybody else. You just want to make sure that you're good first. Whereas with selfishness, even if you're good and you have extra to give, you don't want to give, you want to keep it to yourself. And that's the difference between the two. You don't have any intentions of taking care of anybody else. You won't take your last. In fact, you have plenty on your own and you're not concerned about anybody else. Now, I know I kind of went off a little bit, but selfish people aren't necessarily bad people, because they can come back from being selfish. It's something that you can get out of. It really is just a thought process. But there's a reason for why everything happens, and there's a reason for why they're selfish. And, sometimes it's just the way that they're raised, or just the position of, who they were growing up. Like, it has something to do with that, But as somebody who gives, you have to realize that, because the moment that you come around a person who takes all the time and you're giving all the time, this is where the self-love lacks. So it's not to write off selfish people as a bad group of people, but you have to know when you're giving too much and not giving enough to yourself, because when the selfish person doesn't give to you, you're going to get mad and have these expectations, but don't have any expectations for yourself to be given to yourself. You just have to know what side are you on. Are you a person who needs to self-love, or are you a person of self-love, or are you a person of selfishness? There's a difference. Either way, there's some work to do. Either you have self-love and you need to maintain it, or you're selfish and you need to come out of that. But anyway, that's all I wanted to talk to y'all about. I'm out.